Pension auto-enrolment began in the UK in 2012 and it was fully rolled out by 2018. Now, every employer is legally required to enrol every employee in the pension scheme automatically. You have to actively choose to leave and tell them you want to leave. But then, every 3 years, workers who have opted out get re-enrolled automatically. Until 2022, the 401k, which is the US pension, was optional. You had to actively choose to join. The Secure 2.0 Act now requires automatic enrolment in new workplace plans set up after December 2022. This is not the standard, it's not typical, and it's not a global thing. Germany never moved its pension money onto the equity markets at a core level like this. Workers and their employers pay about 9.3% of salary into a central pool. That money is not invested, it pays the current retirees. In Germany, today's workers fund today's pensioners, and when you retire, working people will fund you. Also, the German state guarantees a floor of roughly 48% of average wages in retirement income. In the Netherlands, they are still running the closest thing that you will find anywhere to the modern DB pension system. There are mandatory contributions by both the employer and the worker, but they are pooled and managed collectively by large pension administrators like APG. They are investing the pot, but the risk is spread across the entire membership, not borne by the individuals. The Netherlands is pointed to as running one of the consistently best funded pension systems in the world. China has just got social security. No need for investment managers or fund holders or complex structures for risk or forced contributions by employees. China runs the largest pension system by membership on earth. Employees in China are encouraged to save about 8% of their wages into their own individual account. But all employers are forced to pay into the collective pool. The state guarantees your pension. China is not perfect. There is still a substantial gap between what a public sector pension is paying and what some private sector pensions are paying. Rural workers have weaker schemes and it varies, but the stock market is not the mechanism at the core. The state is. Singapore is interesting because of the British colonial history. It sort of proves what the British state is capable of. The Central Provident Fund was introduced in 1955 by the British Colonial Administration. Every worker and every employer contributes, the combined rate of 34.5% of wages. That money sits in 3 accounts: retirement, healthcare and housing. The CPF board pays a government guaranteed interest rate, currently above market savings rates. And when you reach the age of 55, you convert accumulated savings into a lifetime annuity through CPF Life. Annuity is just a recurring payment that you're going to get every month. The government guarantees the interest rate and it guarantees the safety of the pot. No individuals are investing in equities. This Anglo-American model of employee takes the risk, employee makes the savings, employee has to invest to survive in the future. That model is mostly an outlier, both in today's modern world and through history as well. Even the Romans guaranteed retirement for their soldiers. Most of the world did not build retirement around individual equity exposure and asset managers who charge fees and make decisions on your behalf. So money that is yours is being taken from you at source and then managed by places like BlackRock and Vanguard, basically given to companies like Palantir and Lockheed Martin. So in order for you to have any money to retire, those companies need to get bigger. But if companies like Palantir and BP and JP Morgan and Shell and ExxonMobil and Lockheed Martin keep getting bigger, by the time you go to draw down your pension, there will be nothing left. In 1975, a UK private sector worker on an average salary who stayed in the same job for 20 years would retire with about 3/4 of their salary. The workers' retirement income was structurally insulated from the markets, deliberately. That same worker today, same salary, same tenure at the company, retires with a DC pot that the value of it is dependent on what the markets are doing now. This really bared its ugly teeth during the 2008 crash. If you were in the 50 to 60 age range in 2008, you got completely melted by that crash. Your pot just disappeared. Some of those people lost up to 45% of their retirement pot overnight at the worst possible time, 5 years out from retirement, no chance of recovery. Most people don't even understand investment. It's not taught to you in school. But your literal survival at the end of your life relies on you understanding this now and making informed decisions. The system expects you to have financial knowledge that it has deliberately refused to provide. And even if you do everything right, but you live longer than you expected to and you run out of money, tough shit. The people who designed this in the 1980s actually kept their own DB pension pots throughout. Civil servants of the British government, the ones who wrote the Financial Services Act of 1986, they received the Civil Service Pension Scheme, a DB scheme that still exists today. So you are expected to figure out retirement for yourself, but the people you trusted with your taxes who are supposed to be providing for you, they get to find benefit pensions. They don't have to figure it out. They don't have to rely on the whims of Peter Thiel to be able to afford their heating at the age of 96. This wasn't a policy choice or naivete. This was a class decision, a concerted decision made by people who excluded themselves from the consequences. They used public authority to shift the cost of retirement off of capitalists and onto workers. What you should feel about that is proportionate to what it actually is. Theft.